So the next thing I wanted to show you in this video, it's kind of a little catch-all video, if you will, but I have a little bit of a thrift haul to share with you. I went to a couple, literally a couple yard sales over the weekend, and I did find a few things, and so I want to share those with you right now. So the first yard sale I went to was an estate sale, and they had quite a few vintage pieces there. My daughter went specifically because she bought this mid-century modern dresser or hutch type, credenza hutch. I'm not even quite sure what you would call it, but she bought it for like $20, and it's such a cute piece. But I did find a few things there. Apparently the person was a duck collector because she had tons of duck items, and I like a good bird or a bird print, but I did find a few things there. Yes, they are duck items. So the first two items I should say, are these two little metal ducks. It's pretty heavy, so I'm thinking it might be lead. It's pretty heavy. And now this tiny little, focus in there, little duck as well. Now this one does have a marking on the bottom. It says 1982 on the bottom, but I can't make out the rest. But I thought these were adorable just to tuck in little vignettes. And I think what I was thinking is those old little shadow boxes are starting to become a little more popular right now. And while I don't have a shadow box, I do have one of those old trays that have all the little cubbies in. One of those old, I don't know, is it a printer tray, with all the little compartments. And I thought, well, this might be a good time to put that to good use with all these little figurines that I have. So I will get that out. I plan on doing that. We'll see if I actually do. I have lots of plans, but eventually I'll get to them. If not, I'll just stick them on one of my hutches here and display the little ducks that way. So with the metal ducks, I also found these teeny tiny little ceramic ducks. Aren't they cute? I got two of them, two of the same. And the only thing it says on it, it's like a carving, and it has BC on the bottom, but they're cream and with the brown. Isn't that cute? Teeny tiny little ducks. So again, I could put those in that tray, or I can tuck those into on one of my shelves, just because they're just too cute. They were just too cute. Too cute to not get. And then, I love a good vintage picture with a pretty frame, and this one fits that record, or fits that description perfectly. It's in really good shape. It needs cleaned and wiped off, but, look, mama duck and her little baby ducks. Isn't that cute? And I paid I don't know, all the things I got there, I only paid $5 for everything. So the duck, 4 of the little, duck figurines. I also got these, I got 2 more clay pots. So this one is the big one. I'll stack it out on my deck with the other ones. And this I thought was really pretty. This base, I thought was really pretty. It has a pretty edge. It does say number 6 on the bottom. But other than that, you know right where they're gonna go. And at that same yard sale, this, is my last item that I got at that yard sale, or that estate sale, was this duck. Now it does have a made in Japan, what does it say here? Left on, exclusive Japan, so it's a nice little vintage piece. But isn't he so cute? So cute. left on made in Japan figurine. Oh my goodness, so cute. I'm excited to put him out. I gotta find a home for him. As soon as I get off here, I need to find a home for him. Okay, so then the next, just straight up the road from that estate sale, church was having a yard sale, an indoor yard sale and a bake sale. They were selling chicken and things like that. But inside at the yard sale, they were doing it by donation. So yeah, yes, that's like really awesome. So by donation, and I got quite a few items there as well. So the first thing I saw, the first two items I saw were this set of bird prints. You know, I'm working on my gallery wall. I want to do one with florals, and it can have birds, but definitely with these circle frames I love. And you know, I have a couple frames already exactly like this that I can make a, you know, I can get a print offline, some beautiful print that'll match. So, you know, I could have 4 of those, you know, just kind of thinking ahead. But I love those, and I do already have a couple frames that already match them, but you know, it was a good price because I got to make up the price. So the next thing I found at that same, at the churchyard sale, was this little, I'm gonna say it's a butter pat. And it's also, you can see, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. This I got from the Cat Rescue. 50 cents, and it made in Japan, but look at this cute little bird. I'm gonna call it a butter pat. I don't know if it, I think maybe it is, but that's what I'm gonna call it. And for 50 cents, this was from the Cat Rescue. I have a couple other things from there as well, but I'll show those later. I don't wanna get ahead of myself anymore. So at the churchyard sale, they had a bunch of vintage books. So, well, this book, okay, old books. This book is from, this is not like an old decorative book. This is a book that I plan on actually using and looking through. It's from 1998, but it's preserving Summer's Bounty. I was looking through this, so it tells you all about canning and freezing and, you know, processing different ways your vegetables and even your fruit from your garden. That's something I like to do. I do some canning in the summer, so that is something I just thought was interesting, just kind of picked that up. But then I got these vintage, these old books. When do you see them? So this one is also, this one is really old. Take it out of the cover, out of the cardboard. How to Grow Vegetables and Fruits, the Organic Method. And let me see, find a, this one's copyright 1961. So the reason I'm looking for these older books for this type of thing is because I want to know how they did it back then. You know, before we have all the, you know, all the chemicals, all the fertilizers, you know, we didn't always have those things. And so I'm just curious of how it was done, you know, before all those things. And now I have these 3 books I got. I don't know why I got another red book, but it's Songs of Prayer and Praise. Copyright 1940. So it's a hymnal. I didn't really need another red book, but I also kind of feel bad leaving things behind because I don't know if they're gonna, you know, trash the stuff when they're done. I don't know what's gonna happen to it. So I thought, you know what, it'll be cute. Or worst case, I can use it to craft with, you know, whichever, at least I have it. And then this book I got because it is gray. I do love the color of it. It's just a pretty soft gray. And this is gonna go on my shelf in my office with my memory shelf into that casserole dish because this is the color I needed. So that's why I got this one, mostly for the color. But it is called, okay, this is what it's called. Management and Feeding of Sheep. So it is, at first I thought, oh, maybe it's like a pastor book. But no, it is literally telling you how to take care of sheep, real sheep. So New York copyright, yeah, copyright is 1947 for this one. But it is actually, you know, I guess if I ever decide to have a farm and have sheep, you know, I don't know how to do it the old-fashioned way. So that was fun. And then this book, of course, when you see it, you're going to think, yeah, I would have gotten that one too, I think. But this is called In His Steps. It's this old green. Look how pretty that is. Pretty green book. It's called In His Steps. Helen Wright owned it. And I don't know if it has, I don't think it has a, yeah, I don't see a copyright in it. But it's like, what would Jesus do? It's a little scripture book. Yeah. So it's like a little storybook. Now, right here, yeah, I don't see any date anywhere. That's kind of a bummer. I wish it had a date. Or even a date like when it was given to her or when she purchased it. Oh well, but it's so pretty. Look at that. So pretty. I definitely had to have that book, right? And then the other two items that I got from that yard sale, I found this because as I was holding these books, you know, with the flower, with the prints, everything started going together and looking really pretty in my hand. But this is a crocheted table runner, cream and like a mint green. Love the colors. And you know, I do put these across my tables, but I like to also tuck them in baskets and have them draping out. You know, sometimes I'll drape them on like here. You see I have it draping here, or I have this old quilt piece here, just kind of draping down to give texture and interest. And then I also found this table runner. Look how pretty that is. Definitely vintage, definitely old. This is more of a little darker green. The other one was more mint. This is more, has a little bit more olive tint to it, so it's cream and olive. But it's so pretty. So pretty. So that'll be so fun. Also, I will, you know, like drape it out or use it over, you know, a table runner or something as an actual table runner. But that was so fun. Then I did get two other items from the cat rescue. So I got that little butter patch. I got this little crock. And it was, you know, 50 cents. It has a little Amish buggy on it. And then there were these, I think they're coasters. Pigeon Forge pottery. But there's this, so it's a swan. And then a wheat. So it's a set of 3. I kind of wish it would have had 4, but it only had 3. Now I did pay $5 for this, all 3, the set of 3. And I think they're pretty. So I have a lot of mustard color in my living room here in this dining room. The runner I have on my table is a mustard color. So I do use this color a lot. And so I thought they would be pretty to, you know, go well with what I decorate with. So I got the coasters, and yes, I do use coasters most of the time. I use them most of the time. And the other thing I got at the yard sale was this tiny little Siamese cat figurine. It's definitely vintage. And wait till you see why I got it. Because when I have my books stacked up, I want to put him on the edge like he's climbing over on my bookshelf. Can you see that? Isn't that just so cute? Like a little kitty, he's climbing up the bookshelf. Like, I have to do that. That's why I got this little, like I said, a Siamese cat. Of course, I have 2 cats. So you know, I am a cat mom, so why not have a cat climbing up? You know, I like the crazy vintage, fun, unique things. My goal was to have the craziest estate sale when I'm gone. My kids can have fun, you know, selling these odd things. So anyway, hey, thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the pieces that I found, and if you know any more information about them, please let me know in the comments. You know, I'm always happy to learn more about, especially the vintage items. I don't know a whole lot about vintage, so I'm always curious, and if you have any tips or suggestions on how I could use some of these items, let me know. I'm always loving to decorate and to primp and, you know, kind of putz around the house. So that'll be fun to do that. And just want you to know until next time that you are blessed and highly favored. Have a great day.